Hi, my name is Bernie, driving instructor for Prairie Rose School Division. Today we're going to be doing a Class 2 pre-trip inspection on a 77 passenger school bus. As we approach the vehicle, the first thing we want to do is look underneath to make sure no fluids have leaked out as the vehicle was parked. Next, we want to check our safety decal. Inside the bus, we want to check our registration and our safety certificate, and also make sure that the emergency brake is on, that the vehicle is secure. Starting on the left side of the engine, we want to check all our hoses to make sure there's no leaks. We want to look at our brake reservoir to make sure it's at an adequate level, along with our power steering and our engine oil. We want to check our tension in our drive belt and make sure there's no cracks. We want to make sure our radiator and our rad fan, there's no leaks in the rad and there's no cracks in the radiator fan. We want to grab our steering linkage, give it a turn, make sure there's no additional play in any of the components, and also our frame and our suspension to make sure there's no cracks or bends in any of the frame and our cross members. We want to look at our shocks, make sure there's no leaks. We want to look at our brake lines, make sure there's no leaks, cracks, or bulges. We want to look at the inside of our tire for any cracks, leaks, or bulges. And our minimum tread depth has to be at least 3 millimeters on our steer tires. Looking at the outside, no cracks or bulges. We want to look at our rim for any cracks. We want to look for any loose lugs. We want to look for any leaking hub oil and make sure our valve stem is in good condition. Our right side, we want to check the exact same way, excluding the steering components, but with the addition of our windshield wiper fluid, our radiator fluid, and our transmission fluid. Coming onto the bus, we want to check our stairwell, make sure there's no tripping hazards. We want to grab our handrails, check condition and security. Coming onto the bus, we want to check our 5 pieces of safety equipment at this point. We want to make sure our first aid kit has a seal on it. We want to make sure the fire extinguisher is at full charge, that we have flares and reflectors, and that we have a crowbar or an axe. Also, the seatbelt cutter has to be within arm's reach of the driver. Approaching the seat, we want to grab our seat, check its condition and security. We also want to inspect our seatbelt for its condition. Now that we're sitting down, we can do our right to left windows and mirror checks. We're going to be starting on our right thermopane windows, checking for any cracks or chips. Working our way to the left, we want to check our service door for any cracks or chips in those. We can also check the function of our service door and its seal at this point. Continuing left to right, right to left, pardon me, we want to check our convex for looking for any chips and proper adjustment, and working our way all the way to the thermopane on our left-hand side. We can now start the bus to check our gauges. Before we do that, we want to make sure that our booster brake is working. Now that the bus is running, we can check all our gauges starting left to right. We want to check all of our fans, defrost, and heater fans. High, medium, low, and off. We want to check all those. We want to check our noise suppressor, our interior dome lights, driver and passenger, and our mirror adjustment. We want to turn on our windshield wipers and making sure fluid does dispense out of them. We want to check our our steering wheel and our gear shifter for its condition and security. We want to hit our horn, make sure that works. We want to check all our pedals, that there's nothing binding or sticking or underneath. And we want to turn on our running lights. Once our driver's controls are checked, we can now turn on our yellow warning lights with our left turn signal on and our running lights. The door has to be closed for this function, so we must check our yellow warning lights from the rear emergency exit. On the way back to check our yellow warning lights and our left turn signal, we want to grab all the seats pushing forward and back to check their vertical integrity. We want to check our emergency exits. We want to make sure the alarm comes on and that they can open a full 90 degrees. On the way back, we want to check all 6 emergency exits in this way. Opening the back emergency door, we want to make sure the alarm comes on. We can check our running lights, our left turn signal, and our warning lights. From the driver's position, we can see that our left turn signal is on. I can see my left turn signal on the left side of the bus, and I can see in the convex mirrors that my yellows are working. Now that we've checked our yellows, we can check our reds and our right turn signal. We are going to be walking around the bus. We want to grab our crowbar at this point. We'll need it to check air pressure and for between the duals. Coming out of the bus, we want to be checking our stairwell lights and checking our door seal, tire pressure, mud flaps. We want to check the general security of all our mirrors. We're trying to check make sure our crossing arm is functioning properly. Starting at the top of the bus, we want to make sure our radio antenna is functioning properly. All our clearance lights, our reds are functioning, left turn signal, running lights, cowling, radiator, license plate, tow hooks, bumper. And now that the bus is running, we can see that there's no fluid leaking underneath the vehicle. Want to check the general condition of our mirrors, tire pressure, mud flaps. Got our driver's window. Check our mirror for condition and security. We would open up our fuse box. We just want to make sure there's no electrical problems or anything arcing. We would also open our battery components. Make sure there's no loose connections or any corrosion. From under here, we want to look under the bus. We want to inspect our frame and frame rails, our drive shaft and drive shaft U supports, and also our exhaust system. We want to come back. We want to make sure our strobe light is flashing. We want to look at all our clearance lights, make sure they're on. We want to make sure there's no cracks or chips or breaks in any of our windows. Our emergency decals are all clear and visible. Our Prairie Road School Division decals is clear and visible. Our reflector tape, our running lights, and our marker lights are on. We want to check tire pressure of both duals. We have a minimum 2 millimeters of tread depth that has to be on the rear tires. We want to take our tool now and we want to feel between the tires to make sure there's no debris between the duals. We want to check our rim, looking for any loose lugs. Also our valve stem, making sure there's no hub oil leaking. From this point, we want to look across to the other tire. We want to inspect the brake assembly, but also make sure there's no cracks or bulges in the tire on the opposite side. Inspecting the rear of the bus, we want to work our way from the top down. We want to make sure our clearance lights are working, our red stop lights are functioning, all our warning and school bus decals are clean and visible. We want to look at all our windows, make sure there's no cracks or breaks. We want to make sure our right turn signal is on with our running lights. Our license plate light is clean and visible. Our license plate is clean and visible, and our license plate light is functioning. Also, we want to inspect the bumper, our tow hooks, our exhaust, and looking underneath, we can see our fuel tank and that the straps are in place. From here, we want to make sure the alarm comes on and that the door latches. The door is latching, and we also want to make sure that there's no antifreeze leaking from any of the heaters. The right side, we're going to check exactly as we did on the left side. The only difference being the fuel cap, we will check its condition and security. Now that we've checked our stop lights, we can now cancel them and charge our brakes with using our crowbar. And we want to cancel our right turn signal and put on our four-way flashers as well as our high beams. From the front of the bus, we can see our high beams are functioning and our hazard lights. From the rear of the bus, we can see our hazard lights are on and our brake lights. After our brake test is complete, we can now take our crowbar and stow it away. We can cancel our four-way flashers and our high beams, and we are ready to begin our 5-step brake test. When we first started the bus, we've already completed step 1 by testing the brake booster. Step 2 is by disengaging the park brake to make sure that our park brake light goes out. Step 3 is we want to depress our service brake, making sure it does not go down to the floor more than 65% as we hold for 1 minute, making sure that no brake warning lights come on. Step 4 is now that we want to apply the service brake, disengage or engage the emergency brake and put the vehicle in drive. At idle speed, the emergency brake should hold the bus still. Once that is complete, we want to disengage our emergency brake. We want to put the vehicle into drive. We are going to drive forward, depressing our service brake, making sure the bus doesn't pull to the left or to the right. Once that is complete, we can now fill out our logbook and document that this bus is safe.